we go.
Oh, you should start off that way.
Huh?
You should start off when we go live.
Whatever you want.
Okay. Just keep wearing that.
What do you want me to sing? I'll make a song about Explore Scientific.
Okay.
I'll make it up on the fly.
Make it up on the fly.
Me and my telescope are gonna take a trip down to the desert to look at stars. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Scott Roberts is a friend of mine.
Are you sure?
I'm in Henry Rome. I don't know if I can make something up on the fly.
Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't have any. I don't have any ideas flowing right now for that.
You have no ideas?
For singing a song on the fly, give me a subject. If you give me a subject, maybe I'll do it.
No, the subject is the Winter Star Party, right?
The what?
The Winter Star Party.
All right. So you want me to just
Yeah.
kick it up the Winter Star Party?
Yeah.
All right.
As long as you. Oh, so Mike Wiesner says, as long as you're taking requests, how about Fly Me to the Moon?
I can sing that, but I can't play it.
Okay.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. I can do that.
Oh, man. Yep. Hey, Mike, you forgot to remind me to start the clock. Mike Wiesner is the guy. He's the one who reminds me to start the clock here. So we have some of our regular audience here. We've got Aaron Thompson and Bergman Scooter and Jeff Wise and Jeff Wise again and Mike Wiesner and Richard Grace and Aaron Thompson. He says, I wish I was in the desert right now heading towards minus 25°C for the next 2 weeks. What? That's cold. Jeff Wise, talking about comets. Harold Locke, top of the day. Michael Whitaker, evening, everybody. And Ronald Green says hello to all. How about some Beatles, Sergio?
Again, I can't really play and sing a lot of stuff. You know,
But if you just make it all up, then
I can make up stuff, but I can't play other people's songs. It's weird.
okay.
I mean, I could a little bit, but not too much. But wait, I think I got one for you here. Let me know when we're going. Or are we already on? 5 o'clock. Oh, there's countdown. Is this countdown for real?
Yeah, it's for real.
Okay, and is anybody hearing us or just us?
Yeah, everybody's hearing us right now.
Oh, so then I shouldn't practice. I got one though. I think.
Okay.
Are you gonna tell me when to go or what?
Anytime you can. Well, why don't you wait until we're through with our countdown? We still have people logging in.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're gonna
Yeah.
tell me when to go?
Still got some people logging in.
Okay.
You can play a melody, I guess.
Well,
All right.
being that we're gonna be at the Winter Star Party,
Yeah.
let's do a little bit of I mean, nibbling on sponge cake, watching the sun bake. All of these tourists covered with oil. Rum in my 6-string on the front porch swing. The smell of shrimp that beginning to boil. Wasting away again in Margaritaville, where we should be this week.
Right.
Searching for my lost sugar or salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know it's Scott Roberts' fault.
That's right. That's right. I'm the guy that gave the pop top in your flip flop.
There you go.
No one knows what a pop top is anymore, so. You're making everybody wish they were in the Florida Keys right now, you know.
Well, we're a little cool down here today.
What's
were like
cool?
in the upper 40s last night. It was cold.
Really?
for
That's
us.
kind of
Yeah.
cold. That's cold.
All the girls busted out their Uggs and scarves. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Parkas.
That's actually one of my favorite fonts that you're using there. That was a bad note there. I love to eat my fruits and veggies. Fruits and veggies that make me strong. I love to eat my fruits and veggies all day long. I love carrots and I love peas. I love tomato and broccoli. There you go. All right, so
That's a Dennis Wilson song.
huh?
Isn't that Dennis Wilson?
No, that's one of my songs. Actually, I wrote that. That's
Really?
veggies
Oh,
from
okay.
My Safari
You have to
Sandwich.
listen to or Brian Wilson, not Dennis Wilson. Brian Wilson,
Uh-huh.
and he finished off the Good Vibrations album in the 2000s. Okay.
Right, right.
Yeah, and he's got a veggie song in there. It's pretty
Oh,
funny.
really? I gotta check it out. You see, go into a star party, go into a star party, go into a star party in the Keys. Go into a star party.
Well, hello everybody. This is Scott Roberts here with Sergio Figuera from the Winter Star Party and the Southern Cross Astronomical Society. And we are getting ready for the 2021 virtual Winter Star Party. So, and Sergio's been very, very busy. Joining us also is Jerry Hubbell. Jerry will be continuing on the mentor project that we have been discussing as we've had him on the show. We've been mostly doing coming attractions as we've been getting ready for not only for the Winter Star Party, which is on the 8th, running through the 11th, running from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. At Eastern at night. But on February 4th, which is tomorrow, we've got the Global Star Party celebrating the 115th birthday of Clyde Tombaugh, the discovery, and also his discovery of Pluto and the New Horizons project. So we've got Alan Stern on, who's the principal investigator. We've got Kevin Schindler on, who is historian at Lowell Observatory. He'll be showing the Pluto camera. And we have the editorial staff of Astronomy magazine, the entire editorial staff, including its chief editor or editor-in-chief, David Eicher. Of course, David Levy will be joining us too, as he always does for Global Star Party. He was a great friend of Clyde Tombaugh, wrote his biography and about his discovery of Pluto and all of that. So, but right now, focus is on Sergio. Sergio, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Scott?
Good, good. We love the music. I think you were making everybody like homesick for the Florida Keys or something.
Oh yeah, man.
So, right?
Well, it's a rather cool 68 degrees down here, I think, today.
Oh yeah. Well, it's warmer than here
A little cool.
in Arkansas. I'm
Cool
probably
for us
warmer.
down here, you know.
Right.
Not used to that kind of stuff. Last night it was in the upper 40s. Ooh, brr.
That's true. Yeah. So I noticed, and we should probably point this out, that the registration for Winter Star Party. We sent them off to a registration page, and that was closed. But that was just for the door prizes. Is that right?
Yeah, the registration was just to register for door prizes because we already had the drawings. Since everything is pre-recorded, we had to do that ahead of time. But you can still watch the Star Party through the Explore Alliance Network, and
Yeah.
that's where it's going to be. But all the prizes have been done and won.
And won
I
already.
know who won.
Oh, did you win them all already yourself?
I got those Explore Scientific grand prizes, that's for sure.
That's
My
right.
name was the one called.
Sergio sent me a video of somebody winning a Tech 250 or something like that. Of course, it
Oh,
was
do you
the
have that?
joke,
We could
but
play that if you
maybe
have
it's
it.
real. Do you have it?
Do you have it? I sent it to you.
I don't have it loaded up.
I have it. I have it on my desktop. I don't know if I can share with you or not. I don't
See
know
if
how to
you
do
can.
that.
It was pretty fun. Yeah, well, I'll show it. We'll show it later in the maybe
Yeah.
in the blooper reel or something.
Yeah, there you
But
go.
what else can you tell us about Winter Star Party this year, and how did the decision? I mean, I can see it was an easy decision to make it a virtual event, but did you guys wrestle with that idea? I mean,
Well, we were waiting up to, I think, like early December. We were still hoping to have the actual physical start party going on. And around December 7th or 8th, it was finally decided that we were not going to have a start party. And I believe Charlie Perillo, he's the committee, the host committee for the start
yeah,
party.
right.
His son recommended that we do a virtual start party. So then Charlie reached out to me because I work in television, I do editing and filming and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And he told me, hey, you think we could do a virtual thing? And I go, yeah, sure, why not? And then I came up with pretty much the whole format and stuff for that, everything. So we're gonna have new material that I've acquired from some different sources, different people that I know that have
sure.
some pretty cool material to show.
Right.
And we're also gonna, since it's virtual and we can actually show stuff from before, we're actually gonna show some old lectures that were actually really good lectures. So they're old and they're from VHS,
The
but they're
classic.
actually really entertaining. They're really good stuff. It's like
Oh yeah. Now
Dr.
you
Don
have. I know
Parker.
that you got Tippy Dioria,
Yeah,
right?
we got Tippy Diori. I was gonna get to him next, but we got Dr. Don Parker,
Okay.
Dr. Mike Reynolds, and of
Okay.
course we got Tippy. And the thing that was good about also this thing, we could pay an homage to Tippy, because everybody goes to the Winter Star Party, everybody knows who Tippy is, but we're not able to really like show the world who he is. So through this, we have about, I think, two of his older lectures. We have one of his opening statements, the opening for the Winter Star Party in 2010,
Okay.
and that should be pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah. Tippy, for those of you that might be watching that do not know who Tippy Dioria was, he was the founder of the Winter Star Party. We used to call him the Pirate of Astronomy. He was had an incredible sense of humor, but was extremely knowledgeable. Did tons of educational outreach in astronomy. He was a professor in astronomy as well. But he had a colorful life, let's just say that, in his young years, and but astronomy really transformed this guy, and he developed one of the greatest star parties in the world. It's been often called one of the top 10, listed in the top 10 star parties anywhere. It's not only because of the warm weather, but Florida Keys often has extremely good seeing conditions. So, and it's in this, it's low latitude, so you can see a lot of southern hemisphere objects. But with the great seeing, you can push magnifications way up on planets and see some unbelievable detail. And so I've always enjoyed Winter Star Party. You're in between the city of Marathon and Key West, and if you fly down to Key West, it's about 40 minutes drive going north on the Keys, and if you are coming from Miami, it's about a 4-hour drive down. So, but a great drive too, So if you're planning on going to the 2022 event, which I highly recommend, flying to Miami, it's usually pretty inexpensive to do that, even from other countries, and rent the car, make the drive on down, but make sure that if you're thinking about going to Winter Star Party, that you rent your hotel rooms well in advance, okay? Because it is the high season down there in February, and it not only will the prices be a little higher, but most places are already rented out. So
Yeah. Other things about the Keys. It's funny because Key West is closer to Miami than Orlando, but because of all the speed limits that they have in the Keys, that's
yeah,
what takes you almost as long to get to Key West from Miami than Orlando than to go to Orlando. And once you leave Miami Airport in 1 hour, you're already in Key Largo. So you already get that Keys vibe well in advance
that's
before
true.
you get into the thing, and then you get to go through the overseas highway, which is just magnificent. And one of the things I also think I like about the Winter Star Party, unlike a lot of star parties that you go to that you're out in the middle of nowhere, that there's nothing to do. In the
Yeah.
Keys, if you get socked in or if it rains, you got Key West. You can go snorkeling. You can go to different bars. You can do all kinds of stuff.
Oh
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
So
there's a lot
some
of
of the cool bars
extracurricular
down there is
activities.
the No
No
Name
Name
Pub
Pub.
at No Name Key, and that's a
You can see the
iconic
tiki there.
bar, right?
You see the
Some
tiki.
tiki
There, all that
bars.
kind of
You're
stuff.
way into tiki. He's got a couple of his tiki statues
Tiki guys
behind
right
him.
back there.
That's right. So what places would you recommend down in Key West to go to?
Oh, in Key, well, I go to Marathon first before we go to Key West because one of my favorite places to go grab a bite is Keys Fisheries down there with the stone crab claws
Oh
and just everything you got there. I love the whole fried grouper down there.
yeah.
Then in Key West, of course, you got the Sloppy Joes. You got
Oh
all the
yeah.
different bars and stuff. I mean, this just
Floppy Joe's is where Hemingway used to hang out, right?
Hemingway used to, yeah, there's a big stuff there with Hemingway. Also, the Green Parrot is good. I like Flying Monkeys. Amazing frozen drinks. Wow,
Okay.
this is turning into a real party.
That's right.
All right, guys, I gotta
Well,
go to
some
Key
people
West.
that have shown up at Winter Star Party, I mean, really iconic people. I mean, Jimmy Buffett apparently had shown up at one time. I remember Tippy telling me about
Oh,
that.
really? I didn't hear about that one, but okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Jack Horkheimer, I'm always telling people to
Yeah,
keep looking up. Well, Jack Horkheimer would
yeah.
show up down there,
Jack was good friends with Tippy. I
Yeah,
have a picture. I have a picture of Tippy, Don Parker, and Jack Horkheimer together. So
right.
that's pretty cool. That's a nice little trio there.
That's right. Now, before we transition over to Jerry, how did you get involved in astronomy and with the SEAS and Winter Star Party? What's your story?
Well, I used to be into stars and stuff like this. I was a little kid, but I went through the kid telescopes, that you
Sure.
bought. They got free for Christmas. You became frustrated with it. You never took a look through it. You threw it out. So around 1980, my parents bought this house in Miami, and the people there just left everything, but they were there
Hmm.
since like 1940 something. And lo and behold, they had a now looking back, I know what it was, a Criterion Dynoscope 6.
Oh wow. Okay.
Now I didn't know anything about it, so I proceeded to destroy the thing.
Oh.
So that was
Yeah.
terrible. And
It was a
actually,
good scope though. It was a 6-inch Newtonian
yeah, it
telescope,
was a
as I
6 inch,
recall.
and then it was funky because it had a little tripod that would actually fit into a pier, and the pier is still on top of my house.
Oh
It's
really?
the little pier that's like, it looks like a bucket, and you
Yeah.
put the legs in it, and then when you want to take it out from that, it will open up, and you can view through it. So I
Oh
got to see
wow.
the moon through it because that's the only thing I knew about looking at before.
Sure.
And okay, so whatever. So that came and went. And then I started working at Discovery Channel like in 1997,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a Discovery Channel store back in the day.
That's right.
And I had a pretty nice discount at the store. So I bought a 10-inch LX 200 from Mead,
Oh,
the
okay.
GPS.
So I would have been working at Mead at that
Yeah,
time.
you were
Yeah.
working at Mead at that time, actually, and
Yeah.
that's when I got into the whole Southern Cross. That I took a trip down there to one of their things, and I had no idea how to use this thing. But
Sure.
finally, the first day actually I went out there, I had the scope and I took it out and it all dewed up, and I'm like, the heck is this? And
Right.
somebody got a little hair dryer, and they started telling me about it, and so that's how I learned. And yeah, I had issues with the scope and stuff, and I met you at the Winter Star Party, and I said,
Yeah.
my scope is having all kinds of issues. Oh, send it to me. So I sent it to you, and you took care of it. And then one time you invited me. I said, I'm going to California. You gave me a tour of the Mead facility. That was
Oh,
just when
that's
you guys
great.
had
I'm
acquired
glad.
Coronado, so you had all the Coronado stuff there too. So that
Yeah.
was pretty cool. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. And it's one of the things I would say. I mean, people. You're like a lot of people at the Southern Cross Astronomical Society. Friendly, engaging, fun. and I think that the Southern Cross group has done a lot for beginning amateur astronomers, and this goes way back to the founder, which
Hmm.
was what, 100 years ago or something like
Yeah,
that. So,
1922 was our when we started. So next year's our 100th anniversary.
wow, you have anything special planned for that, or do you know of anything at this time?
I have no idea.
Fireworks? No, no fireworks. Maybe
Fireworks. You're gonna have all
maybe
kinds of light
you'll break
pollution, so
out the
we can't
tiki
do anything.
bar and start making up the drinks or something. So,
I have no idea what we're gonna be doing. I'm sure we want to do something. Barb, the secretary of the club, she's been
yeah,
around for quite a while in the club,
yes,
so she probably has an idea of more what kind of stuff we're gonna do. So
sure.
we'll see. We'll keep you posted. But
You
as of
know,
right now, I don't know of much going on. But I'm
okay.
sure we're gonna have something because it's a big
Oh yeah,
anniversary.
100 years. So that's a big
Yeah.
deal. Big deal. So I do want to tell you, Sergio, it's been great to work with you in getting ready for these, the virtual Winter Star Party, and an honor for us, really. So
Hmm.
thank you for all the hard work you've already put into it. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm sure the prize winners are ecstatic. And but it hasn't, they haven't shown all the stuff that they're going to show yet, and but you'll see it on each day. You're going to have what, 4 hours roughly of
4
broadcasting?
hours, yeah. Some days we're gonna go a little bit over.
Okay,
So
okay,
the first day we're almost at 4 hours direct. I already got the first day out, kind of done, except for the Explore Scientific stuff done. I'm still waiting for you, Scott.
okay. All right. Well, we got stuff already coming your way, so
So once I
yeah.
have that there, yeah, then day two is almost done also. So I should be able to
Okay.
hopefully knock
All
those
right.
two out and send them to you so you can play them over there. So,
Great, Sergio. Thank you so much. Thank
oh, and
you.
thank you. We
All
really
right.
appreciate you guys having it on your platform. It gives us the maximum amount of reach. So we're pretty happy with that.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's great. It's great. All right, so watch it. You're gonna love it. And then in 2022, you got to go because it's going to be the 100th anniversary. So I think it's going to be really special. So, all right.
Not the 100th anniversary of the Star Party.
Not the Star Party. Yeah, it's the SCAS. Okay.
We started Star Parties before there were Star Parties. I tell you.
Right. That's right. Before
Well,
Galileo.
this is number 37 this year, so 38 will be next year.
Oh
So
yeah.
good.
Wow.
That's
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 a
that's
lot of Star
a nice
Parties.
little streak. And I've heard good stories about when Tippy and Patty first brought up the fact that they wanted to do a Star Party. Apparently, the president of SCAS didn't want to
Yeah.
have any of it. So he
Oh
was like,
really?
yeah, because
Why?
back then there was no Star Parties really. It was like a new concept kind of thing,
I
you
see.
know. So let's go take over the Everglades for 2 days, for a weekend. And it's like what. So,
Yeah.
but it became really successful, actually too successful, and that's why they had to leave the Everglades because it was just too much for there. So that's when they had to move down to the Boy Scout camp at first, I think, and
Okay.
then they moved over to the Girl Scout camp.
Girl Scout camp.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen alligators in the Everglades. Okay, you can just drive down Alligator Alley and see them. Okay,
Oh yeah, yeah,
so
they're there.
I think
I
I
mean,
would be
that's
a
where they
little
live.
nervous, to do astronomy in the Everglades,
Yeah,
but it's
I,
perfectly.
I go there a lot actually. I go a lot to Mahogany Hammock in the Everglades, and I go to Flamingo, and I've never seen an alligator where the places where we hang out are at, because
I see.
Mahogany Hammock is a paved parking lot, and Flamingo is a nice big campground. So they really don't go there. There's no real water around those areas for them
Yeah,
to
yeah,
hang
yeah.
out. But I
That's
have
true.
seen other stuff, but no alligators,
Right.
just little critters,
Critters.
raccoons, stuff like that.
Well, I think most astronomers are used to critters, but
Yeah,
alligators,
right.
that's a different ball game altogether. Yeah. Clearlight 58 says if there's water in Florida, there is an alligator in it.
Yeah, man. It's there. A few years back, there was this really cool video of a crocodile because we have alligators and crocodiles down here, not just alligators.
I
This
didn't
huge
realize that.
crocodile, American crocodiles, and they're protected, so you can't do anything to them.
Yeah.
And there was like a 10, 12 footer inside
Woo.
of a pool of somebody's house in the Keys. And
Oh,
since it was a cold front had come by, so they go to the water because it's warmer than the outside.
sure.
And you see this thing just going out of the pool and walking in the sand into the ocean, and you're like, wow, just another
Those
day in
things are
Florida,
out
man.
there.
But you know what? But they don't mess with you. They really don't. I mean, unless you
Yeah.
go harass an alligator, it's not gonna mess with you. So
Right.
And if they do start messing with you, you just got to do a couple quick moves. You see, like Steve Irwin, and they
Oh
get
yeah,
tired really
and you
quick.
grab it by the nose and keep its mouth shut,
You know,
right?
like that reminds me one time there was a big monitor lizard that escaped somewhere, and my daughter was when she was little, she's like, "Oh, daddy, look!" And I go, "Oh, I'm gonna get this," and I go like this, and I put my hand out like that, like the whole Steve Irwin thing,
Yeah.
and I was gonna grab it, and the thing just jumped up and went clank and clamped itself to my finger, and I'm like, "Oh, really?" Well, that made it easier to get, but it was a bloody mess, man.
But who got who? I don't know.
Because
So
those little, yeah, he got me for sure, but those things are like they're very razor sharp teeth. They get in there. You can't just yank it out. I mean, you make a
no,
mess.
you'd be ripping flesh off. That's right.
Yeah, so yeah, even a little lizard can do some damage. But
Yeah.
speaking of lizards, the keys are strewn with iguanas. So if
Oh
you guys
yeah.
go to the Star Party and you see one, just run it over. They're an
Yeah.
invasive species. We don't want them.
That's right.
There's too many to get rid of. And there's another funny thing. Right now it was just really cold, but not cold enough. If it gets into the 30s down here, sometimes they
Yeah.
freeze and they fall off the trees. And they're like
Really?
popsicles, yeah. And a lot of them just go into like a deep sleep. If you look it up on YouTube, frozen
I will.
iguanas, Florida, and you'll see you'll trip out on that. It's the funniest thing.
I will.
All
All right. Well, take care, Sergio.
right.
Thank you so much for coming on with
You're
us
welcome.
and
Thank you for having me.
sharing your music and your talent and your stories and all of that stuff. So we're really looking forward to it.
All
Take care.
right, me too. I can't wait.
All right, dude. Take care. Bye bye.
All right, bye bye.
Well, we are uh, switching over to Jerry Hubbell. Jerry,
Yep.
thanks for coming on with us today. We've been
Sure.
running Tuesdays and Thursdays for the
Right.
OpenGOTO community, but we are very busy with shooting video and stuff like that for the Winter Star Party. And Kent's doing a lot of that, and I've been in a few of those videos myself. But there's a lot we have a lot of stuff to talk about it.
Well, you're a movie star, Scott. So you have to be
I'm
in the
not a movie
videos.
star.
You have to be in the videos. You're the star of the show.
No. All my ums and ahs and my pregnant pauses and all
Mm,
that
mm,
stuff. Ooh, that's right.
no,
Uh,
that's fine. I look forward to seeing the videos.
yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So we had you go through all these different terms of errors that can affect astrophotography. And we promised that we would kind of drill, we did kind of a high level overview of all these things, and Jerry talked through those, but we promised that we'd go into each one. And so there's
Yeah.
about
So
20 different terms, I think, that he
there's
had.
there's quite a few. There's 3 pages of stuff. Let's see. I don't know. There's probably at least 20, probably 25 maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to start at the top of the list and work our way through the list. And it's broken down in different categories, okay? So the first thing is and this is in terms of the shape of a star, okay? Just to get an introduction to people that didn't hear the last one. These are things that contribute to poorly shaped stars, I could say, okay?
Okay.
You want perfectly round, tight stars when you do world-class imaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most amateurs, believe it or not, can get very close to that after some study and some work. You can get 90% of the way there with your everyday equipment and from your backyard, I would say. You have to understand the conditions and the right things that make up this, and this is part of this training, is to help you understand what contributes to excellent stars images.
Sure.
So I start out talking about intrinsic error causes. Now, this is intrinsic to the equipment that we're talking about. What equipment problems cause errors? And then the other section is extrinsic, which are outside influences, environmental and weather and all the other stuff that's outside of your system. So we're looking at this in terms of what's what problems you have with your equipment, and or what problems you have with the outside environment, including your neighbor that leaves his light on.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right. So there's all kinds of stuff, right? So we're going to start out at the top of the list, looking at things that contribute from your equipment. And that's what I call intrinsic errors. All right.
Okay.
The first one on the list, we're going to talk about this, is sidereal rate error. So this is a fundamental of any mount, right? If it doesn't track correctly, in terms of a fundamental counteracting the rotation of the Earth, okay, then you're going to get tracking error, which causes your image to drift. You know, the stars drift on your image while you're taking the exposure, and it causes the trailing, basically. Everybody understands that, I think. You've seen trailed stars.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to get this fundamental rotational rate correct. All right. Now, there's some little tweaks to this that we can talk about in a few minutes. But in terms of the how the controller generates a signal, I wanted to get a little bit into the PMC-8 system as an example.
Okay.
All right. So basically, this requires a really high precision clock, right? Which is generated from most people's watches, and pretty much all watches use a crystal oscillator. And your watch actually uses a crystal oscillator that's hundreds of millions of these things are created every year, and it's a fundamental crystal frequency of 32 kilohertz. Okay. And the way the basic clock circuit works is it divides it down into exactly one solar second. Okay. So that it keeps accurate time to a few parts per million, right? So it only drifts like 1 second every week or two or whatever it is, right?
Okay. Right.
So we do the same thing. We have a crystal oscillator on the PMC-8 system that is used to create the system clock, the microcontroller clock that runs the program, the firmware, okay? And that's a 80 megahertz clock, okay?
But how accurate is this clock?
This is a very precise. This is good to a few parts per million. Okay.
So similar to like a high-end watch.
High-end, really. It's much higher. It's much higher accuracy than your standard watch circuit is. Okay. So now so it's good to a few parts per million, and what we do to create I've kind of done some tricks with the firmware. Generally, it's 80 megahertz in terms of the solar rate. So a standard solar second, it's 80 megahertz per second, okay? Now, that's not a sidereal second, right?
Okay.
That's a solar second, or based on the sun, the 24-hour period that we live our day-to-day lives with, right? It'd be odd if we lived our day-to-day lives against the stars, then we would drift 4 minutes a day. So there's a 4-minute difference between sidereal 24 hours and a solar 24 hours. All right. So a sidereal second.
I know people who drift more than 4 minutes a day, though.
Yeah, right.
They drift hours sometimes.
Right. So think about this. So 1 hour of drift, or 1 hour change in the sky it takes 2 weeks to drift 1 hour. So every month it's 2 hours of drift, right? So that means 24 hours and 12 months. Basically, that's why it's 4 minutes a day. So a sidereal second is shorter than a solar second. So that means I have to, instead of counting to 80 million counts when I count off 1 second, I have to count a little shorter than that and that's the way I do it in the PMC-8. I actually set the signal up so that I can create a fundamental sidereal second clock pulse, and I count it short because I know that the sidereal second is faster. It's a shorter second than solar second. So that's one of the fundamental things I set up in the PMC-8 to create this time standard, a sidereal second. Okay. So everything's referenced to that. So now I'm keeping track of a solar day, a sidereal day instead of a solar day in the PMC-8. Now, so that helps me generate the timing signal for the rotation rate of the mount. So the rotation rate of the mount is 1 rotation per sidereal day, right?
Okay.
So I know what the clock rate is for sidereal seconds, how many pulses I need to give the motor to rotate 360 degrees per sidereal day. So that's basically the gist of how I get an accurate clock pulse to pulse the motors at a very exact sidereal second or sidereal rate. So that's how that works. Now, the next thing we can talk about, depending on where you're pointing in the sky, there are some things that change, that make the sidereal rate not perfect. And it's perfect for the Earth turning, but you got to contend with the sky conditions. One of the conditions you have to deal with in the sky is called refractive error. Okay, and I actually talk about that error down here. So I'm gonna let's see. That's an extrinsic error. All right, that's this right here.
Okay.
So atmospheric
refraction, and I know that can have a big effect.
Right, exactly. So there's 3 different ways. So the main thing that really affects how accurate your tracking is in terms of sidereal rate is this right here. All right. As you get closer and closer to the horizon, the atmosphere distorts the position or the placement of the star. It starts to rise up above where it actually is in space. Okay, it kind of distorts it. That's why if you watch the sunset, it starts to turn yellow, really dim it out, and then it really starts to slow down in the setting. It by the time it sets, it has already set. But the light gets bent by the atmosphere, so you can still see the sun. So it kind of slows it down. Okay, that's the way it does with stars. So when you're tracking a star close to the horizon, within about 30 degrees of the horizon, it starts to slow it down. All right, so you start to get some smearing of the stars. So that's what that is. And so you get so what it looks like is apparent drift in RA. Okay, so you're tracking the Earth's rotation perfectly. Why is the star moving? That's what you got to wonder. Why is it smearing?
Yes.
It's because of the atmosphere. We still have to deal with that.
That's right.
So that's that first. I kind of went over 2 things, but the first one, the fundamentals.
Atmospheric refraction changes. I mean, if you're aiming the scope straight up, I guess you could be fairly confident things are tracking at sidereal rate.
And actually things above, if you're pointing above 45 degrees, or even better, above 60 degrees to the zenith, then you can discount atmospheric refraction for the most part. It's not going to amount to that much drift unless you're doing really long exposures. Now, if you're doing narrowband and you're doing 10-minute exposures or even maybe 20-minute exposures, you can probably detect the refractive error up at near 60 degrees probably.
Wow.
I would imagine.
So I guess a pro tip would be, if you're shooting long exposures, keep the scope aimed up high, and
right. Or if your mount allows it, set a there's a rate called the King rate
Right.
that corrects for atmospheric refraction, and the PMC-8 has a setting called the average King rate, which basically corrects for atmospheric refraction in the mid altitudes, like from 40 to 70, 40 to 60 degrees or something like that. It'll get near perfect tracking. So if your mount system has a King rate or an average King rate, and you're doing narrowband imaging, I would suggest you use that.
Right. Now, a good question. With atmospheric refraction, how would that affect polar alignment?
It does affect polar alignment. So for example, here in Virginia, my North Celestial Pole is at 38 degrees 20 minutes. All right. So
Yeah, if you're polar aligning on Polaris, for
if you're
example.
polar aligning on Polaris, or right, you're trying to get Polaris now.
Yeah,
Let's
right.
say Polaris is right now. Let's say, for example, if Polaris was right below, directly below the North Celestial Pole in its circumpolar rotation.
Yeah.
All right. So it's slightly below. It's about 45 arc minutes below the North Celestial Pole. So if you're starting to see effects of refractive error there, it will actually be, apparently it'll be higher than actually what it is. So instead of being 45, and then the North Celestial Pole will be where it's supposed to be, but you got the refractive error in Polaris, so you have to adjust for that. You may, if you want to really get a tight polar alignment. But again, if you look in the literature, I think like for Polemaster or these other things, they talk about aligning on the refracted pole is what they do. And so if you align on the refracted pole versus on the theoretical pole position, then it probably will correct your positioning a little better.
So Polemaster has, I guess, in software some refractive model built into it, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't used it, but I would assume that they take that into account.
Mm-hmm.
So that when you do the alignment, you're aligning on the refracted pole position, and then it will correct for that.
Right. And if you're compensating for this, of course, you can shoot longer without seeing drift. If you are, if you're shooting real short exposures, a couple of minutes, then it's not going to be an issue,
no,
right? I mean, you
no,
can be pretty far off of polar alignment if you're shooting short like that.
right,
But 10 minutes and longer, yeah, you could probably see something.
right. And remember, this is just one out of 20 some factors.
Right. That's
Some
right.
of them combine one way, some of them are random, some of them are systematic, so there's all kinds of different. And that's one thing I haven't gone through and looked at and see which ones are systematic and which ones are random. I don't think I've identified that. So I probably need to go back and look at that. But anyway, so this sidereal rate error due to the mount system clock, that's a systematic error. That would be considered a systematic error, not a random error. And all that means is that you can correct for it easily.
Right.
Which is what I do in the firmware. I tune it in the firmware to get it very precise.
Right.
All right. So that's the item of the day.
Okay.
Is there any questions? Are there any questions about that from the audience?
Yeah, there's Harold says, does the polar scope system is it based on refractive north? I don't think so. I think that it would be difficult to make a polar scope adjust for refraction.
Right.
If you're way up north, let's say you're up in Sweden or something like that, Finland, northern parts of Canada, you're going to have less effects from refraction when you're doing polar alignments. If you're down here, in the south part of the United States, or as you get way down, Central America towards the equator. Of course, if you're trying to somehow use a polar, a pole star, you could have quite a bit of refractive problems. And so, I'm going to recommend, if you're if you're, I do polar alignments using Polaris at, 32 to 35 degrees. I've no problems really to report. Even I did polar alignment at Mauna Kea, where we were down in the 20s down
Oh
there.
yeah.
But I would say that
But
drift
you were
alignment.
up above a lot of the atmosphere too, right? You were up
That's
on the
true.
mountain,
It is
so
true.
that helps
Yeah, and
some.
plus I wasn't doing any serious long exposure work.
Hmm.
The only time I really had a problem was when I was at Mauna Kea and I was trying to do um, drift alignments in advance of the eclipse, but that was flexure problems, which I
Yeah.
learned firsthand what flexure can do to you, and I'm sure that's a different another term that you'll
Oh
get into
yeah.
later. So
That's right. That's one of the terms, and we'll get into them.
okay, all right. Well, Jerry, thank
All
you
right.
very much. Thank you very
Yep.
much. I will, I'll remind, well, some upcoming things that we do have coming as well. On Monday, we have Fred Espenak who's going to join us. He's also known as Mr. Eclipse. I don't know if he's done more eclipses than anybody on the planet, but maybe. Was NASA's eclipse expert. I think he still consults with NASA. He's retired right now from NASA, but he writes books on eclipses. And if you're lucky enough to be on one of his eclipse tours, he almost bats 1,000 as far as being at the right spot at the right time. So. He's a great lecturer and extremely knowledgeable. So if you have questions about eclipses, you want to get those ready for Monday. He'll be on with us for a few minutes as our special guest. But he is going to be talking about his new book, which covers major celestial events for this year and many years on out. So. We look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at the 31st Global Start Party with co-hosted by Astronomy Magazine, celebrating the 115th birthday of Clyde Tombaugh. David Eicher and I were talking about it today. We are really both so excited to have this particular event. It is a full schedule, but we are going to have a Global Star Party after party, and I will be announcing the login credentials so you can go into our waiting room where Kent Martz will be there to check out your audio and video and to, you have to be talking something about astronomy. So, so it's kind of like being backstage of the TED Talks.
You don't want anybody to crash the party.
If it's astronomically related, I don't care.
You got a bouncer ready to kick. I guess Kent's the bouncer.
Yeah, it's kind of the bouncer. Yeah, he's a pretty easy guy to get around though. So, but if you're talking about astronomy, got a view through your telescope, you're an astrophotographer. We want you. And in that regard, I don't know when our virtual star parties will end because we're starting to open them up to the general public. So no matter where you are around the world, if you want to show or share, please log in and join in the after party. The next one will be tomorrow. We start our 31st Global Star Party will start off at 7 p.m. Central. So we hope to see you there.
That after party with inviting every amateur astronomer or every astronomer in, that's kind of going to the next level on this thing.
I think it just makes it easier. I think that there's a lot of people that would like to join in, or, maybe they just on the moment get inspired. They're going, gosh, I'm remembering something, or I have an astrophoto I'd like to share or something, and it's a great place to do that. And of course, people all over the world they'll want to see it too. So, well, anyways, thanks very much, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow.
The Southern Cross Astronomical Society of Miami, Florida is proud to present the 2021 Winter Star Party Virtual Edition, February 8th through the 11th. Because of COVID, we will not be able to get together in person this year, but we won't let that stop us from getting together online with old friends and make some new ones. There will be all new presentations about double stars, astroarchaeology, Mars exploration, and more. Enjoy classic videos from past winter star parties by Tippy Dioria, Dr. Mike Reynolds, John Dobson, and more. There will also be door prizes, but you have to register online by January 30th. To register, please visit www.scas.org. Go to the Winter Star Party tab. Select 2021 Virtual Winter Star Party from the drop-down menu. Go to the bottom of the page. Enter your name and email address and press register. And best of all, it's free. Then join us February 8th through the 11th from 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.explorescientific.com/Winter Star Party. Mark your calendar. See you there.